All right, so we are joined from the Pearl Post Office by 2005 Velma Jackson graduate, former Blue Diamond lead retail clerk at the United States Postal Service, TaChana Michelle. We thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
I got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools. Velma Jackson, Madison Central, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. And just for reference, the reason you're not showing your video because you are in the post office right now, which does not allow video recording, but still have a great path that you've gotten there to the post office. But before we get to that, we want to hear about your time at Velma Jackson because you were a Blue Diamond, involved in a lot of things here in high school, graduated in 2005 with a great class. So take us back to your high school experience and then that transition after high school.
Okay, so yeah, I'm from the country. I got to Velma Jackson at the time. It was actually the middle school and the high school, so we were all on the same campus together. And I got there in the seventh grade, and pretty much played every sport, ran track. I was in choir, and when I got to high school, I did ROTC for 4 years. I was in the band, like you said, I was a Blue Diamond. I also did Futures Business Leaders of America, and that was an organization where we got to venture out outside the school and do different things, kind of set the tone for where we wanted our careers to go. Um, I also participated in different things outside of the school, but that was tied into the school with Miss Taylor and Coach Williams. I don't think they have those programs anymore, but those was really good too. We got to go to different companies. I know y'all probably do the Nissan tour. Um, my
Nissan
sophomore
actually stopped
year,
doing the tours.
they stopped.
They stopped at COVID. They have not brought them back.
Oh wow. So yeah,
Yeah.
we got a chance to go. It was my sophomore year. We got a chance to tour Nissan, and we also toured the post office as well. So after graduating high school, I did the normal route, the college route. I went to Holmes first, before attending Jackson State University. And I got my big break, even though I went to school for psychology. I got my big break during Christmas time. I was a carrier assistant in Madison, and the money was great, way better than what I would have been doing in my profession. And so I decided to just stick it out, stick with it, and see how it will work for me. And eventually, I ended up transitioning from a carrier into the plant, being a clerk, working the mail. And so for 6 years, I did that, and it opened up opportunities to go to different states. It opened up opportunities to go to different divisions to really see like the post office is really more than just mail. I found out that we have our own law enforcement, which is our postal inspectors. So people who may be going to school to get their degrees in law enforcement, like there's room at the post office for that. We also have our own registered nurses. We also have our own marketing department and our finance department. So it's the spectrum is very broad with the postal service. Growing up, everybody out if you worked at the post office, everybody always assume, oh, you got great benefits. Let me tell you, the benefits are great.
Yeah.
Okay. They are excellent. And it was one of the reasons why I decided to stick with it and choose this as my career path. And like I said, the spectrum is broad. It's different things you can do. Our headquarters is in Washington, D.C., where they handle pretty much everything from urban development areas with stations all the way down to counting mail pieces. So it's something to do in the postal service, regardless of what profession you're in, from being a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, because we do have our own litigation department. Um, It's broad. It's a great career path, and it's an excellent career path if you start early versus
Absolutely.
waiting.
Now that's what I was going to talk about because you did do the college route. So if
Yes,
somebody coming out of high school is kind of unsure about a path they should take or kind of on the fence about college, the Postal Service could be a great place to catch on getting a well-paying job, getting good benefits. And even though it is they do work it is pretty set hours once you get your foot in the door.
yes, it is. Of course, when you first hired on, you're hired on as a contract worker, so you're not really going to have the 2 week vacation and the set off days or weekends or holidays. I mean, it's pretty much a hit and miss because you are a contract worker. But it used to be, it took people like 5, 6 to 10 years to become a career employee. When I became career, it only took me 2 years. But now, because of how things have shifted after COVID and the demands that are having to be met, we have people that are converting to career in under 6 months.
Wow.
So coming out of high school and getting a job that starts you off with $21 an hour
Wow.
and being able to get career, and now we're talking $30 an hour with great benefit before you
Wow.
even turn 21. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's part of that is because obviously you're from Camden, we don't really see that side of the postal service as much because it's a rural area. But down in
Right.
Jackson at that hub, when I know you're over in Pearl, that's still a good sized um, post office, and so is the one in Madison. There is a constant need for people because of the demand for e-commerce, because of people using the mail service more that since COVID got us used to staying at home. And then there's a big need for tech people. So even if if you're going to Holmes and you're going to Hines, you're getting that technical certification. The need for IT people and software developers and cybersecurity in the postal service will not go away.
It will not go away. And that you made a great point. I looked into a career fair that we had about 3 weeks ago, and it was actually in Las Vegas. And I seen where they are starting off entry level IT reps at 79K a year.
Wow.
79 entry level. That means you don't even have to have experience. Just your credentials will start you off at 79K a year.
Wow. Now,
So
um,
yeah,
and I know we talked about this before, a few weeks ago, but you also said that if somebody wants to work at night, there are overnight shifts in the postal service that need to be filled. So if somebody's like, "Well, I don't want to get up early every morning," I know that those postal workers get up really early. Yeah, if you're a morning person and you want that shift, they can fit you in there, but they need people overnight at the sorting station in downtown Jackson.
absolutely. The distribution center runs 24/7. It is never closed. We are always processing mail. We have a system where we receive trucks every 3 to 4 hours. We now have
Wow.
6 dedicated routes from Memphis due to the closure of the Grenada distribution center. So now that clock has, and then let me just reiterate, Amazon. Amazon has put a workload on us that I don't think we was ready for. Like we are hiring people, and the some of the work is kind of hard. It's a physical job, but if you stick it out and get a chance to move around, you don't absolutely have to stay in that particular position. But it is good to start off in the distribution plant. That way you learn the dynamics of the mail system, you learn the process, you learn the procedures, and you also learn how important it is with our mail system, being that we are the only government entity that delivers to every single US address in North America. We are the
Wow.
only ones. So we have contracts with UPS, we have contracts with DHL, we have contracts with FedEx because they do not deliver to every address in the US, but we do.
Wow.
So
Now,
there's a demand for us.
I did not know that. So, Now you mentioned about, sticking it out and working your way up. And I know you were a carrier, you were behind the counter, now you're the lead retail clerk. So you're dealing with a lot of customer face-to-face stuff, but you're also dealing with a lot of administrative stuff. Now,
Yeah,
obviously I'm not knocking people that choose to go to college because there's a lot of opportunities there. But if someone wants to get in and learn this business, but they're kind of on the fence about college, is this something they could work their way up with just coming out of high school and learning the industry?
absolutely. I mean, coming in, you're young, fresh, eager to work, motivated. Those are the employees that the managers and supervisors are pushing. They're allowing you to advance in different areas. And also, the post office pays 80% of your tuition if you do decide that you want to go to school and further your education in your career
Wow.
path. So not
Wow.
only will you have a chance to get in the work field, get a feel for it, but you can also go to school. And when you're going to school after you've already become a postal employee, they are more likely to work with your school schedule. They're more likely to just have you open to different avenues and opportunities and internships and different things that will strengthen your career with the postal service. And it's not obligated just because you work there and you go to school. Once you get your degree, oh, I have to stay here a year, I have to stay here 5 years. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, and
It's not
something
an
else,
obligation.
yeah, something else you mentioned, and I hear this a lot, and I know you heard this a lot going to Velma Jackson, is I hear a lot of kids say, I want to move to Dallas, I want to move to Atlanta, I want to move to California, wherever. This is an opportunity if you put in the work and show that you can move in within this field. The post office, they have them everywhere. So
Yes,
how trouble is it to move anywhere in the country?
it's very easy. In 2016, I actually went to Dallas and I had the opportunity to work in the North Dallas facility, which serviced Fort Worth, North Dallas, Carrollton, Plano, Fresno, and Red Oak. And it's bigger, it's a bigger city, so it's more volume, it's a little bit more work, but because it's a bigger facility, the chances of growing and getting promoted and moving up the ladder is a whole lot faster than it is in Jackson. Because in big cities, you have a lot of people who are just coming through just to book up their resume. Like in
Wow.
Jackson, we have maybe like 23 positions that'll come open like every 2 years. And then we have who have been with the Postal Service for 40 years. They don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So it's a tad bit more difficult to move up in Jackson versus Dallas. And I also went to Atlanta in 2019 and I had an opportunity to work at the Peachtree Distribution Center down there. And that's when I decided to step over in management. Once I got there, it was a little bit more hands on in that plant because in Jackson it's pretty small plant. Everyone knows everyone, and I hate to say it, but it's true. The buddy system and who not really what but who it's kind of harder to progress in Jackson versus going out of state. And when I went to Georgia, I was able to kind of get my feet wet on the management side and learn and grow there and kind of bulk up my resume. So when I did decide to come back to Mississippi, I didn't really have to know anyone. I did, but I really didn't have to because my resume and my credentials and my experience from being in other plants kind of helped me become the better candidate. And then I was able to express, like, this is why I'm the better fit for this position. When you've been around and you've seen different distribution centers and you see how they operate and how they work, because no plant is the same. Every plant is different. But when you're able to step out there and get those different vibes and different energies from other plants, it makes you more accessible with where you want to be. So
Absolutely.
me
Now
just
you mentioned
venturing
something there.
out, it helps.
Yeah. You mentioned something there I think is important. I talk about this all the time, and I know they get sick of me saying this. As you said, you talked about it's not what you know, who you know. I take it one step farther, and that is who knows you. I stress the importance of networking and the importance of communication. And these students, and I know I can speak for all the other teachers, they get so mad when we ask them to, just get up and present in front of the class. And it's not to make anybody nervous, it's not to be mean, but just those important skills of communicating. In the postal service, customer service is a very important skill. And that's a skill that gets overlooked a lot. You got somebody coming in looking for an important package, you got to be able to work with them and walk them through a process. You may have an older person that doesn't understand the tracking technology. So you really have to be able to communicate, even if you're not a public speaker. So how would how would those skills translate into somebody being a good postal employee?
Those skills are actually at the top of the list, like especially on the retail side. And that's what I look for in my clerks. I need to see how you interact with the customer. I need to see how diligently you work with the customer. I need to see, are you going to go above and beyond? Do you present yourself as friendly, or are you giving the nonchalant attitude to the customer? Because at the end of the day, the customers are the reason why we're able to have these good paying jobs with these great benefits. Because without the customer, without them sending mail, packages, and doing such things like that, generating the revenue, we wouldn't have a job. And I pride myself on my customer service. I have customers every time I leave a location, they'll tell me, okay, where you going? Because I'm gonna start coming over there now because I love your personality. I like how nice you are. And I have to tell them, like at the end of the day, regardless of what I'm going through, when that customer walks through that door, that's my only focus. Because as long as that customer keep walking through that door, there's revenue walking through that door. That means I'll get my check every 2 weeks. to,
Yeah.
to fund my lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also, if you show you can sell something, if you can show you can sell anything, you can work anywhere. But with I know at least in the postal service, if you show that you can have a high sales volume, that's going to put you in other spots and other income brackets when it comes to advancement.
Yes, because actually before I jumped on this call, I was on our teleconference call that we have every day with our district managers and our regional managers, and they look at that. When a retail uh, person is offering stamps, offering money orders, would you like a signature on this package, or do you want to do overnight delivery? In our system, it's called RSS. It's recording all these things. So you may think, oh, I work at the post office in Camden. Ain't nobody really paying attention to me. Oh, yes, they are. When they see you generating that revenue, it'll be to the point where you have people calling you from different. I got a call from the Puerto Rico post office after COVID. They was opening up a new
Wow.
branch, and I got offered a position in Puerto Rico
Oh, that'd have
because
been cool.
at the particular time, my goal to myself was to do better today than I did yesterday. I really wasn't in competition with my coworkers. I was in competition with myself. And by me
There you
doing that,
go.
I was like, okay, I sold $500 worth of stamps today. Okay, tomorrow I'm selling 550. Or
Wow.
I got 3 people to upgrade from just first class mail. They sent the overnight express. That's our highest paid product. But if like you said, when you're able to sell to the customer, because I'm gonna make it sound real good. And one thing about me, I'm not gonna falsify it. I'm just gonna speak solely off fact. Hey, you sending this package to your granddaughter? Hey, we do offer a service where it's guaranteed overnight delivery for $30.45. It comes with the signature confirmation. And if it's not delivered on tomorrow by 6 p.m., money back guaranteed. Just by me saying those little things, it takes 30 seconds. And they always say, well, if it's money back guaranteed, if she don't get it, I get my money back. You're absolutely right. They feel confident in me because I spoke confident to them and I offered them a product that they actually want and need.
Yep.
And I have some customers that say, oh, no, that's too expensive for me. Okay, that's no problem. We also have priority mail that's 2 to 3 day shipping. It comes with $100 insurance. It's only $9.85.
Yep.
So having those customer service skills, it does go a long way because people in corporate are looking. They're looking at making the numbers. And out of nowhere, you'll get an offer. And if you're free to move around, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the customer service and the sales because even if you're not interested in working for the Postal Service, I have several students. I have a couple in here with me right now that say they want to be entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, you got to be able to sell yourself. And something you mentioned right there that I'm glad you did because you talked about, oh, I'm just going to work at the post office and I'll just be making the money. And I know you heard the same thing when you were in school here at Velma Jackson. You heard about I'm just going to go work at Nissan and I'm be able to get paid and I hear all, I'm going to go work at Amazon. The amount of tracking that goes on in these corporate in these manufacturing and these jobs like this, they know who's being lazy and who isn't. The ones that are going to get the promotion,
Exactly.
the ones that get to keep the job, are the ones that are showing that they're worth the amount that they're getting paid. If you're there just to show up and get a paycheck, you're not going to last there very long.
And if you are there, you may see that you're stagnant. You may be in the same position for years and years and years. And it's like, is this really what you want? I know I
Absolutely. And
don't. I become antsy when I've been in a position for a year. Like I'm coming up on my year in Pearl, and I've currently been training with the postmaster as a postmaster relief. My goal
wow,
for the end of this year is to be a postmaster. I don't want to
that's
start off
awesome.
big, I want to get like a rural station somewhere, but that's my end of the year goal for me now.
Wow. Well, and I think that's the postal service is a great example of not only do they need people to move up, they're always advancing technology. They need people to learn these systems. They need people that'll work. And at the end of the day, you're getting those federal government benefits, which might be the best benefits on in the country. I mean, it's
You
right
know
up,
what?
it's right up
We're
there with military
underneath the
benefits.
military. Yes, we
Yeah.
are right underneath the military when it comes to the benefits. We have an excellent benefit program, and
So yeah,
there is always advancing it because now when you come in and you're a contract worker, after your 60 days, you are now able to get those same benefits. Of
wow,
course, you won't get the 401k and the thrift savings, but the health, the dental, the vision. Um, they also have another one that's with union because we are unionized with the APW. They have wonderful benefits like on your car insurance, your cell phone bill. If you have a mortgage through particular lenders, you get special interest rate. Is I'm telling you, the benefits are nice, and now you don't have to wait until you become career to enjoy those benefits.
that's incredible. And especially if people are wanting to start families or have kids, that is such a big deal. When you're in high school, it's kind of hard to get past the fact of, I'm just trying to have a fat check. But when you start having kids,
Right.
want to have a family, there's those benefits are, I would say, even more important than a nice paycheck. So really looking at a way to take care of your family
Exactly.
is something everybody needs to look at. But I do have some questions, and these are really good. So I'm gonna get to as
Mm-hmm.
many of these as I can. This first one is Zaneri in Mayfield. He's a senior, and he asked, "Was the postal service your first career choice coming out of high school?"
No, it was not. No, it was not. I actually applied and I got the job at Nissan under Kelly Service.
And then, and what changed you to not want to work at Nissan?
Um, so Nissan was cool. I'm not downplaying it. It's just that at the time I was starting my family, so I became pregnant while I was there, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They don't care if you're pregnant. You still got to move that line. You still got to put them parts on them vehicles. They don't care nothing about it. So I had a couple issues, and I ended up having to be off work for an extended period of time, and they had to pay me workers' comp. So after I had my son and I was ready to come back to work, unfortunately, they did not allow me to come back.
Yep. Here's one. This is from our current Blue Diamonds captain, Harmony Williams. And she asked, coming from a small town like Camden, how did you adjust to living in bigger cities?
Uh, I really didn't move to the big city. I still stayed with my mom on Sharon Road. I didn't even stay on campus when I went to Jackson State. I commuted because I didn't want to get caught up in the college life. And it's easy to get caught up like that because I didn't do what I was supposed to do my senior year, and that was applying for scholarships, trying to score as high as I could on my ACT so that I could get scholarships. My mind was set on one thing. I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna get at least an 18 on my ACT. I'm going to Jackson State. I'm trying out for Princeton JSET, and that's it. That's all I was thinking about. And that plan fell through. So I ended up having to get a job while I was in college. And it was just cheaper for me to commute back and forth to my parents' house versus me getting my own place because my check wasn't for my enjoyment. They were for my education.
Yeah. But and I'm glad you mentioned that. Commuting to college is not a bad idea if you're looking to save cost. Dorm rooms are only gotten more expensive, and you can still get the campus college experience if you commute. So if anybody's thinking about going to Jackson State, Belhaven, um, Mississippi College, any of those, or even the community colleges, it's okay to commute. You can still get what you need education wise and still get the campus experience.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because that is a big deal. I just got a couple more. This is DeKayla Williamson. She's a sophomore, one of our cheerleaders here, and she asked, "What was the hardest thing you've had to deal with when you were trying to get a job at the Postal Service?"
The hardest thing was being patient, because the process is long. Um, it's a government entity, so there's a variation of things that you go through. And I got really, really nervous when the background check portion came around, and it wasn't just, oh, they're gonna put your information in and they're gonna pull up your record. No, they actually go back and they talk to your second grade teacher. They talk to people
Oh,
in your community. So
wow.
I was kind of nervous about that. That was
Well,
the hardest
you know
part
what?
for me.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that. So that gives me something to talk about real quick. Um, you know, I've had you know I've had Nissan, I've had Amazon, and some of these corporate jobs and government entities are the same way. You may think what you're posting online is private, but if you're posting
It is not.
bunch of
It is
guns and
not
stuff,
private.
I promise you it will cost
No.
you a job. You know,
Yeah,
when
it
you can
sure
say, "Well,
will.
it's my yeah, it's your freedom of speech and freedom of expression." That's fine. That doesn't protect you from not getting a job. Kids want to look at me like I'm crazy when I talk about that, but putting stupid stuff online, especially now, putting dumb stuff on TikTok, it may be funny for your followers, but I promise you, it can cost you a job.
Yes, it definitely can. And the postal service, and I'm not speaking on something that I've heard. I'm speaking on something that I know. The postal inspectors and the law enforcement division and our IT department, they see everything. They see everything. So they tell us to be mindful of the things, even though you may be off work, you can be out on vacation, what have you. At the end of the day, you're still a representation of the postal service, and they do take that serious. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
and especially if you're looking to get hired. If
yes,
you think it's private, believe me, people have a way to find it. And
yes,
I've had that taught with several students. So I really hope, if nothing else, that they hear that because how you represent yourself in the social media world is extremely important.
because now, believe it or not, and a lot of people don't, social media is your first impression. That's how they view you. So if you're doing all this nonsense online and they see it, they've already put you in a box. So now you have to work extra hard in the interviewing process to sell yourself, to show yourself that you're the best candidate for the job.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else along the same lines. And I'm glad we got a few minutes to talk about this. I had a former student of mine that was a student of mine at Jim Hill applied for a job. The person that was hiring saw that we were mutual friends and they called me. She did not put me on a reference sheet, but they said, "Hey, what can you tell me about this person?" And I gave her a great review because she's a great person, but they're going to find a way to get a hold of people.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And the reason I said your second grade teacher, because my second grade teacher was actually approached and asked about my character, my work ethic, how I carry myself and present myself in public. And she was my second grade teacher. But because she was in my community, she watched me grow. So she was able to give them like that timeline and that interpersonal information that they was looking for. Because I could have easily just put 3 people down there that I know gonna go to bat for me, and they know
That's
that.
awful.
So they're
Yeah.
gonna go outside of the box and get true raw information on you.
Yeah. And that's those out of the postal service. That's in any of these places that, if somebody's going to pay you a lot of money, they're going to hold you to a certain standard. So
Yes,
even if you're like, no, if you
absolutely,
say the postal service is not for me, you want to go work somewhere else, that's fine. I'm telling you, they will find a way to do a reference check on you. It doesn't matter who you are.
absolutely.
Now, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. But before we go, first of all, if somebody's interested in working for the Postal Service, tell us where to find the information.
Okay, so you can go to www.usps.com/career. Once you get into this page, it's going to ask you to create a profile. What I tell people, don't use your email address that you use for everything. Go ahead and create you a new email address and make it professional because they do look at that. Um, Answer your questions. When you're putting your skills and knowledges and things in there, really be truthful, but also, be engaging. Something that's gonna catch their attention because everybody pretty much now is used to my skills and knowledge is I type 35 words a minute. I'm a quick learner. I'm team oriented. That's old and boring. You have to be creative in how you are selling yourself, but also at the
Absolutely.
same time be truthful.
Absolutely. Well, and the last thing is you are walking these same halls, sitting in these same classrooms, in the same community, growing up the same way. But yet you became extremely successful in a career. So obviously it can be done coming from Camden, coming from Velma Jackson. So what can kids do
Absolutely.
now? So what can kids do now coming from Velma Jackson, coming from Camden, coming from, maybe I don't have anything going for me. Obviously the resources are here. The opportunities are here now. What can they do to become just as successful as a Velma Jackson alum like you have been?
Um, Key first thing first, networking, asking questions. Um, my mother told me a long time ago, and I didn't get it until 10 years later. So now I'm playing catch up. Work first, play later. You want to work first while you're young and in your youthful years. So that when you start becoming of age, you're pretty much sitting back and you're riding off into the sunset until you retire. Versus you playing now, and when you start getting of age, you really haven't did much. You haven't advanced in the company. You're still at the same area that you was in. You're working harder, and it's time for you to retire. You can't because you haven't done the necessary work that you need to do to retire. Work now, play later.
Love it.
Start now. Start yesterday on your career.
Yeah. I mean, we're 3 weeks away from graduation. It's going to be here quick. I tell them, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to tell you that the deadline is coming. You got to figure things out. Time doesn't wait for anybody. So the time to figure that out is coming very quickly for a lot of these kids. And I think with the right decisions, they can make great names for themselves, just like you. So all the
Mm-hmm.
way from the Pearl Post Office lead retail clerk, we are so great. I know a lot of the teachers that were here are gone when you were here, but I can speak for everybody at Velma Jackson to say we're super proud to call you an alum. Just just a long line of the great alums that have come from our great school, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
No problem. I'm honored to have me. I'm honored.
And we better see you dancing with the alumni Blue Diamonds at homecoming next year.
I will definitely be there for homecoming.
All right, TaChana Michelle, we thank you so much. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See ya.